Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit and I am Lord of the Arena. You can't dispute it this time. You see this? Yeah. Last time went pretty well, didn't it? Yes. Probably never happen again, but hey, there you go. So, we have a choice. I know a lot of you have been wanting Warrior, but unfortunately that's not what it gave us this time. So we got Rogue, Warlock, or Druid. Rogue is very good in arenas. It is a good hero. Can I play it well? Hell no. I absolutely cannot. It's got some good points in arena, mostly because it has such really great consistent removal and some really powerful combinations. And most of those combinations are not overly reliant on anything else. The combo mechanic, which the Rogue uses, can be comboed with literally anything, including the coin, for God's sake. You can toss the coin out, and suddenly that triggers the combo ability. So those strong combos with the Rogue don't actually require specific cards, which makes it better in Arena because you can't rely on getting those cards in the first place. It also means you can get like 4 Fan of Knives with spell power, and it just becomes silly. Warlock we kind of played before. I would like to play it again later. I don't feel it's one of the stronger cards and stronger heroes in Arena because, again, it is quite reliant on these big combinations that you might not necessarily get. And, of course, one of the best things about the Warlock is the Lord Jaraxxus card, which you are most likely never going to see in an arena, ever. So that kind of defeats the point of that. Druid, on the other hand, is a class that I've been experimenting with a little bit, but I don't have a full grasp on yet, which means that a run might be a good way of kind of explaining that. I think Druids are solid in Arena because they have a lot of either-or cards. That is their kind of unique mechanic. They have a lot of cards which say, do this or this, a choice of the two, which can be very useful in Arena when you are dealing with non-optimal decks and you're dealing with situations you have to adapt to on the fly, which are very unusual, like having 4 Molten Giants come out, for instance. You know, that kind of thing can happen. So let's rock and roll with the Druid, shall we? It's going to start us off with an epic. Okay. We disregard the Hungry Crab immediately. That is not an option because, well, it's just not an option. I mean, it sounds great when you think about it, and it kind of is. If your opponent has a Murloc out on turn 1, the Hungry Crab is the best card in the game. But it probably won't happen, so, yeah. Murloc War Leader. Similar problem. The problem with the War Leader is that if I don't get Murlocs in my deck, this actually becomes a liability. Faceless Manipulator, on the other hand, is good in almost every situation. You can clone some very powerful stuff here, so we'll take that. Dragonhawk, Savage Roar, Boulder Fist Ogre. All pretty good. Now, Druids do have several buffs they can use, so getting Wind Fury in your deck is not the worst idea ever. And you don't have a lot of choices with Wind Fury with Druid. You've basically got this and the, I assume, the Shaman, the Farseer or whatever it's called. And that's kind of it, really. Unless you count the Armani Berserker and its Enrage ability. Savage Roar, this is kind of like a... It's like a mini Bloodlust, but it also affects you as well. So it's a pretty good card. So I'm going to take it. Raging Worgen. It's funny, we were talking about Wind Fury earlier. Good solid card, especially if you can proc it early. Difficult to do otherwise. Spiteful Smith, useless for a Druid deck. They don't actually have weapons. They gain attack value, but they don't equip weapons. Ironforge Rifleman is... I don't really like it. It's basically a slightly better version of the Elven Archer. Has the same battle cry, but it's 2/2 and costs 2 mana more. I don't really dig that card for that, I'm afraid. If you're gonna want those 1 damage battle cries, I think you just grab an Elven Archer, really. I'm thinking the Raging Worgen is the best one here. Even if it doesn't enrage, it's still a 3/3. If it does enrage, it's a monstrous card. So there you go. Innovates. These break Druid decks in a hilarious way if you have the right kind of cards. Unfortunately, it's also put me up against a Mark of Nature, which is just great. This is one of these choices I was talking about here. +4 attack or +4 in health and taunt. Really adaptable, 3 mana, awesome card in my opinion. Innovate, though, is one of the Druid's most ridiculous broken mechanics, so I think we should grab one of those. If we get more of them, we'll be able to play big cost cards earlier in the game, which can mean all sorts of silly plays. Speaking of big cost cards, Frost Elemental, War Golem, Jungle Panther. I love Jungle Panther. 3 cost for a 4/2 with stealth. Almost guaranteed 4 damage. Very unlikely that you won't be able to at least get 4 damage out of it. Maybe more. You can kind of have them lie in wait until you've removed the threats from the board, taunts, and then just have them strike, buff them up. War Golem, also pretty solid. Great if you happen to have a lot of innovates. but certainly not the best high-cost creature, mostly because it's just like, it's a raw creature, right? It's a 7/7/7. That's it. It has no card text, it has no special ability, and druids in particular actually have some really heavy-cost cards like the Ancients, which are just flat-out better in my opinion. So I think we're going to take a Panther. Now, we've got quite a few 3-cost cards, so we need to watch out here. Gurubashi Berserker, love it, great card. Also like Stormwind Knight, Murloc Tidehunter is a fantastic, really, really efficient card, though. You get 2 creatures out of it for the price of 1. If you have coin in your hand, you can get it out on turn 1, which is amazing. Also great if you want a lot of stuff on the field to, say, pull a Savage Roar off with. Another Raging Worgen is a possibility. A Starfire. Very expensive. It's 5 damage, but you get a card draw in it as well, which is okay. Druids don't have a huge amount of card draw inherent to them, so it can be fairly important to get something like this. I'm tempted to take a second Raging Worgen, but I already know that I'm sitting on a lot of 3-cost creatures, and I'm not really keen on having all of my stuff kind of float around there. And of course Leper Gnome, which is really nice because you're almost guaranteed 4 damage out of it because of the Death Rattle. And we don't have any 1-costs, so I think we're going to grab that just to balance things out a bit. Okay, we have another rare. Cold Light Seal, we can safely ignore. We're not building a Murloc deck, really. And it also applies to all other Murlocs, so if the other guy has Murlocs, it can actually be a complete slap in the face. Bite, it's alright. I mean, it's a nice piece of removal, really, that you can also turn into something else. It gives you 4 attack this turn and then 4 armor. You can buff that up to 5 with the use of your hero spell. You can use it to bite a really important creature and not take too much damage from it. That's pretty good. You can use it as a finisher. But then you've got Knife Juggler, and it's just like, that all bets are off at that stage. If you don't take Knife Jugglers, I think you're quite silly. It's one of the best cards in the game. Magma Rager. No. No. Seems amazing. It isn't. It's too easy to get rid of. It really is. You play a mage, you can't pull this card. You just can't do it. Not without buffing it immediately afterwards, because it just becomes a target. It's a 3-cost target for the 2-cost removal, or Weapon Swing, or something really basic like Fan of Knives, or just some really basic board clear stuff, and it melts. I hate it. Spiteful Smith, not really an option, so we're going to be taking the grunt. Another Knife Juggler. Useless. Well, not useless. It isn't useless, but I wouldn't call it a great card unless you combo it with other pirates. Murloc Tidecaller, nope. Second Knife Juggler. Absolutely. Alright. Spell power. Not the biggest deal to a druid. There are some damage abilities. You've got Starfall, you've got Starfire, you've got things like Moonfire. They can be buffed, but you don't have a lot of damage spells, especially not in this deck. So I think we ignore the mage. We probably end up taking that. We could take the Youthful Brewmaster, though. Like, as an early game play, like coin turn 1 play, this is kind of cool because you don't have to worry about the Battlecry. But the Battlecry can be good as well. That's the cool thing about it. You can actually bring a card back into your hand and then play it again for another Battlecry. Save a card that's about to die. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I've been experimenting a little bit with these lately and I like them, so we're going to take one. Okay, cool. Our 5 costs are here. Dark Scale Healer is reasonably solid. I mean, it's not a powerful card for like damage and health-wise, but that 2 health to all friendly characters can be an absolute lifesaver. Silverhand Knight I like as well because it's 2 creatures in 1, and Gurubashi Berserker I like when you have the opportunity to trigger it. If I don't have a reliable way to trigger it, especially considering that the opponent will certainly try and not have it done, I'm thinking we just take the Silverhand Knight. It's 2 creatures, it's really, really good. Alright, River Crocolisk is nothing special in my opinion. Dragonling Mechanic, similar situation to the Knight here, but it's just got a lot less attack in it. So, and it only costs 1 less as well, which is why I think the Knight's just a better play. Moonfire, that 1 damage is quite nice to have, and a second 0-cost card is nothing to be sniffed at. So, we'll grab that. Okay, powerful taunt creature in Lord of the Arena, I absolutely love that card. There are more powerful taunts available as the Druid, but we haven't seen any yet, so we could be in trouble there. That Gurubashi Berserker keeps popping up saying, hey, take me, but I think we're going to take that taunt because we don't have a lot of it yet. As I was saying about powerful taunts, Ironbark Protector, ridiculously powerful, 8/8 taunt. Unfortunately, it's given me the choice of that and Innovate, which I absolutely hate it for, but I think we will take that, just so we have one big one. Ah, another Innovate, cool, so we can take it there, excellent. We can start to take some maybe heavier cost cards now as a result of having 2 Innovates in the deck. Mark of Nature, Armani Berserker. Creatures-wise, we're looking pretty good right now. We don't have a lot on the buff front, so I think we take a Mark of Nature. There's still has a gaping hole here at the 4 mana cost here, and we still need a couple more 1-cost creatures, I think. A second Savage Roar wouldn't be terrible. Direwolf Alpha does have that kind of buffing ability as well, though. And what have we got on the 2-cost side of things? We actually got a lot. We got a decent number of creatures there, including 2 Knife Jugglers, so maybe we do take another Savage Roar. There we go. So we're upping the buff front. We can ignore the Dalaran Mage. That's a little bit of extra taunt, but we already have some fairly powerful taunt as it is. We don't really have a lot of early game taunt. I'm hoping we get something like that later on, like, say, one of the Druids that you can turn into a taunt creature. They're fantastic. I think we grab a Boulder Fist Ogre. Again, we can have these earlier plays. Alarmabot, you know, gimmicky as hell. There's another big taunt creature with the Divine Shield. I think at this point we just don't need any... It's going to give me another one of these, isn't it? All right, second one of these, that's it. Okay, we've got a lot of heavy cost stuff now. We need to focus on other things. However, we could put a Nourish in here. I know, it's silly, isn't it? That's 3 cards or 2 mana crystals. 2 mana crystals is not that valuable unless you can do something like a turn 4 play with this with a coin, which you could do. That's possible. So that would take you up to like 7 mana crystals on turn 5, which is very powerful. That could let you do an awful lot. But we are having some issues, of course, with the lower side of things. We still have 9 cards left, though. And plus, that's about some of the only card draw you're going to get. So I know it's a lot of heavy cost stuff, but we do have ways and means of making that work. Another Innovate or a Wild Growth. I've got 2 Innovates already. I think we take a Wild Growth, because, again, we can accelerate this deck. All right, Stormwind Knight. I think we'll take that one. I know the Reckless Rocketeer is pretty good as well. It's kind of the opposite of that, but this is cheaper. And it is also more survivable, so we're going to grab that. Early stuff. Claw, a lesser version of what you saw earlier with the Bite. Harvest Golem, great creature. Shattered Sun Cleric, also great creature. The 1-cost stuff we're a little bit weak on. Like, early game, I'm not entirely keen on it yet. Let's grab a Claw. I'm hoping for some lower cost stuff. Ah, god damn it. There's some card draw there in the form of Wrath. Venture Mercenary. You can make that work, especially with Innovates and Wild Growth. It sounds really bad, but there are times when you can play the Venture Mercenary and not really have to worry. If you already have a good amount of board control, you can play the Venture Mercenary and it's like, right, I don't need any more creatures out right now. And then there's also the really early Venture Mercenary play, which, while you're not able to play a bunch of other creatures, you do have the ability to really do a lot with. You can also silence it if you have the ability to do so, but I have 5 cards left and no silence in my deck. And they're certainly not going to silence it for me, so I think we're going to take Wrath. Okay. Healing Touch. Never so really keen on the big heals, honestly. I think if you're getting to that point, then you probably lost control of the game a while ago. This can work really well, especially in a deck with a lot of small stuff and several spawns. I like that a lot. Bloodfen Raptor might be a 2-cost creature, but I've got a number of those. I'm thinking we grab that. Okay, we've got 3 cards left. We've got to be careful now. We've got a pretty big deck with a lot of interesting creatures, and we've got a couple of multi-spawn things. We've got the Murloc and we've got the Silverhand Knight. Probably not enough to justify a Frostwolf Warlord, though. We might have to take another Moonfire. There was also a pretty good taunt here. A lot of our taunts aren't available till later on, so maybe we take that 1 more taunt. Okay, what are we left with now? Another Wild Growth if we really want to rush. I mean, we could rush towards this stuff. If we get another Wild Growth, that would let us do that. So we're kind of relying on being able to make plays beyond our station at this stage, with 2 Innovates and 2 Wild Growths, and a possible coin and Nourish. Leaves us 1 more card. What do we got? Force and Ancient, Ancient of War, and... try again. Ancient of War and Ancient of Law. Okay. I prefer the Ancient of War, honestly. I like the card draw from Law, don't get me wrong. I'm not so keen on its other alternative. Again, the heal is... This can be a 10-5 or a 5-10 with Taunt. It's a big deal, and with these 2 Innovates, 2 Wild Growths, and a Nourish, we have the option here, I feel, to get these cards out earlier. That's the logic, and I'm sticking to it. My drafts can go a little bit weird. This mana curve is strange, but Druid can also be a little bit strange with its pacing. Because of all of that stuff, because of those Innovates, because of those Wild Growths. Things can get really weird really fast with the Druid. So, let's see how it turns out. Oh, great. So we're going to start off with a mirror. Let's see how our decks compare. Alright. Don't like this hand. And this was, of course, the risk with having so much high-cost stuff that I end up pulling it early. This is not much better, unfortunately. So we have a Moonfire and the ability to do absolutely nothing on turn 1. I did have some turn 1 options that I kind of passed up in favor of other stuff, and I was hoping to get a few more good ones by the end of it, but I don't know. Maybe I've gimmicked this deck out a little bit too much. I think maybe that's a possibility, so we'll see how it goes. Now, if I can survive the first few turns and start to gain control and things start to get a little bit more interesting. Can Moonfire be used to trigger the Raging Worgen? I think it could, actually. That would be really interesting if I was able to do that. I need to consider that as a possibility. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna do what we can do here, which is just smack him with that. Not much, you know, but I don't really have any opportunities. Thankfully, he didn't seem to on turn 1 either. He has the coin, though, so he could play something nasty here. We'll see what he's got. I got none of my early wild growths, which is what I was hoping to get, but you can't really rely on that. You know, it's 2 cards in 30. It's not reliable. So we will try the... I think we'll try the Raging Worgen Moonfire play. We'll play the Raging Worgen on turn 3, and then we'll play the Moonfire. He got an Innovate. He could actually combo that with a coin as well. Oh, God, an Innovate Twilight Drake. That is horrible. Oh, man. That really is horrible. There's actually nothing I can do about it right now. Nothing at all. Oh, man, this is brutal. Okay, so I could Wild Growth. I can play the Raging Worgen. He'll probably ignore it. If he does ignore it, I still can't kill the Twilight Drake. It's just... Even with that Enrage, it's going to die instantly, so... I think we just have to Wild Growth and suck it up at this stage. That'll get me up to 5 mana, which means I can play my Shield Master and immediately have it die to the Twilight Drake. And suddenly I realize I have no silence, I have nothing. That Twilight Drake play is really nasty. It's going to be hard to handle. Alright, what's that going? Wrath? Okay. So he's going to use that for card draw. Alright. So this Twilight Drake is going to hit me for 6. I'm going to have to deal with that. I'm trying to think of how to deal with it the turn after that. Playing a Silverhand Knight doesn't stop it. Oh, he's innovating again? Jeez. Wow, he's burned 2 innovates so early. And a coin. So he's making big plays right now. I think this might be me done already, because I just don't see a way of easily getting rid of that Twilight Drake. Especially since now he has this stuff on the field that he can trade out for anything I throw in his general direction. Yeah, this is not good. Not good. I can't play my Lord of the Arena until the next turn, which would kill the Twilight Drake, but... Yeah, this is bad. Really bad. No point playing Raging Worgen, because even if I were to trigger it... Actually, it's not the worst idea, but he could just ignore me. That's the worst thing about it. He could completely ignore the Raging Worgen. Shield Master dies almost immediately, but it will take the hits from all 3, if that's all he's got. So, let's play the Shield Master. We can then just Moonfire that Dragonling, so that gets rid of, like, some damage potential. There we go. So I'm just concerned that he might be able to do some damage, then break through, and then allow the Twilight Drake to get there. So I want to remove that source of damage to make sure he doesn't have a card that'll let him do that. Alternatively, he can just pull out something that just obliterates my Shield Master, but we'll see. Currently, we're playing defensively. Okay, so he had no way to do that, so I think the Moonfire was the correct call, because that means that both these guys are going to have to go up against this. He will not lose his mechanic, but he will have to throw his Twilight Drake at that. So that saves me for another turn. I've then got my Lord of the Arena, but he now has a big creature out. So I still have no Innovate. I've had 1 Wild Growth, which is not good for keeping up with the pace. So if I play the Lord of the Arena, he's going to be able to kill it with these 2 creatures, and then the Twilight Drake makes its way through. Alternatively, I play the Silverhand Knight, try to start to force him into trades, and if he leaves it alone, I can Savage Roar and clear his board. But this turn I will take, like, 12 damage, which is horrible. Which is why I'm thinking I just have to play another Taunt, just so that I need to be able to get some pace going, I need to get the mana going, but I don't have it, so... I just can't rely on being able to remove all of this stuff effectively. That means at least he has to get rid of this and this to kill it. His Twilight Drake still comes through, but that's still 6 damage and not 12, and he loses 2 creatures for the privilege. But that depends on what he's got in his hand. What do I play after this? I'm going to have 7 mana. I will be able to play Silverhand Knight. I will be able to play Savage Roar, which is useless that turn. I don't have much, really, until I get my 8 in order to get this Ironbark Protector out. It's also getting to the point where these Innovate plays are useless. Alright, he does a card draw for Nourish. Alright, well, so much for my card advantage. So he's either he sits around or he trades. I assume he trades. I mean, why would he not? So he gets rid of that, and then he throws away that. Unless he just wants to hang around till next turn with it. No, of course not. There you go. Alright, well, that worked out about as well as it could have, I guess. Youthful Brewmaster. God, I wish that worked on his creatures. Then that would be amazing, but it doesn't. I still don't have this Ironbark Protector, so I'm going to have to play low HP. I don't really have a choice. So we play the Silverhand Knight. He can just keep going for me. I could do Youthful Brewmaster and then play it again next turn, but I need that Ironbark Protector out, so no, we're not going to do that. Armor up. I'm not going to take a swing at that because that's stupid. Make him come to me. Don't give him 12 damage in a single turn. So that stuff's out there and it's a threat. I've got my Savage Roar as well, and I've got my Ironbark Protector. So I can, unless he gets a taunt out or eliminates this guy, eliminate that. Or I could Savage Roar and use the Squire to eliminate that. That at least gets it off the board. Doesn't mean I'm not horribly behind, but it's all I can really do at this point. So that's just how it is. Maybe I just drafted a terrible deck. Oh, God. Mark of Nature. Okay, what's he gonna do? I can still get rid of him. I think he's just gonna try and get the most use out of it possible and just hit me as hard as he can. And I don't blame him. At least my Ironbark Protector will be able to hold the line for a little while. Those are pretty difficult to get rid of, especially if he doesn't have a big damage creature like this, which I'm certainly not going to let him have. Power of the Wild. He's powering it up really hard here. Yeah, he's just going to go at me with it. There you go. So that's the big hit. Takes me down to 8 health. Okay. Well, at least I know he's dead now. Yeah? And he's burned a ton to remove a lot of stuff, and I get that, but I mean, he could also have in his hand something like 2 Starfires, and then I'm just dead, but okay. So what can we do? Well, at this point, we just need to take the Silverhand Knight and get rid of that immediately. Yeah, that's the first play. That's the first play. And I think we just need to get that Protector out. Do we need it this turn, though? I wonder if we need it this turn, because unless he casts a bunch of charge, we don't need a taunt. We could play this next turn. We could get some threats out on the field instead. Let's try that. I'm assuming he doesn't have a charge creature and he actually has some nuking potential. If he has nukes, I'm dead anyway, right? Taunt is not going to stop that. That's just the reality of it. This we're not going to play for obvious reasons. So let's start fighting back a bit as much as we can. If he has the cards he needs to kill me, then he's got the cards he needs to kill me, right? I'm assuming he doesn't have much charge. I could, of course, be entirely wrong. Like, he could just play a Druid of the Claw or whatever it was, the Druid of the Fang, I can't remember which, and then just obliterate me with that, but we'll see. Okay, he's got a bit of taunt. If he had a way to kill me, he'd have done it by now, so it looks like my calculated risk worked out there. I don't think he's got much, because I burning that for getting a Mana Crystal right now for 9, what on earth would he play? Shapeshift? Yeah, he actually doesn't have much, so he's trying to finish me off. This could be a problem for him, because I don't think he's got the ability to do that. He didn't even attack me. That's weird. Alright. Okay, maybe we're back in control. We'll see. So, we could Savage Roar, which means that'll be, what, 4, 6, 12... Not great, is it? I need to get rid of this first. Of course, the best way to do that would be to use it to trigger my Raging Worgen, so let's do that. I could then return it to my hand and play it again, but, you know, it's sitting there as a threat, and if it's allowed to get through, it's going to wreak havoc. Let's let the dogs war and all that great stuff. So I think what we do is we Ironbark Protector, and we Leper Gnome. And the cool thing about that is it actually triggers Wind Fury, which means you can swing again. Little known fact about that card. You get the chance to do it again. Suddenly, I'm back in control. But for how long? We'll see. If he gets direct nukes, I just die. Yeah? If he gets 2 Starfires, I'm dead. If he gets, like, a Wrath and a Starfire, I'm not quite dead, but I'm pretty damn close. This stands between him and the ability to hit me, and will continue to do so. Next turn, my damage output is obscene. I can actually kill him if this lineup remains. Even if the whole lineup doesn't remain, it won't. What he's doing, he's charging now. Okay, he's trying to beat down this Ironbark Protector. I think he might be dead. If I Savage Roar next turn, he burned most of his mana doing that. What is he gonna do? Because this stuff dies at the end of this turn, right? Savage Roar. Okay. So he's going to use 2 to get through. Is he going to go right at me? If he goes right at me, he's dead. If he uses it to get rid of my Worgen, he might live. Go right at me. Yes. You silly, silly man. Perfect. He completely screwed that up. He did completely the wrong thing. If he killed my Worgen, he would have lived. As it stands, G. And such has demonstrated the importance of clearing out that. Oh, that was fortunate. I played so bad. But you know what I noticed from him, actually? He was making the kind of mistakes that I do. That in this game, Rushdown generally doesn't work unless you know you have a follow-up to it. Because if you burn out before you're able to finish that Rushdown and you expend all of your creatures doing it, you are so boned it's not funny. When your opponent regains control of that board and you know that unless you know for a fact that you have the ability to finish the job, whether it be through Starfalls or Starfires or just any kind of damage, then you are screwed. So I don't think I played that all that well, but I think I played it probably as well as I could have, considering the deck that I've got. Yeah? And bear in mind, of course, the deck was crafted by me, so it's my fault if the deck's bad, for the most part. Okay. We can get a turn 1 Raging Worgen, which is quite funny, and I'm considering it strongly. Yeah. We're getting a turn 1 Raging Worgen. There we go. Cool. So this is kind of what this deck was designed to be able to do. Playing those 3-cost things on turn 1 with Innovates, you know, that's good. Or, of course, coin Wild Growth, coin into Innovate, into a 4-cost creature early game, and then that gives you the pace to be able to put them on the defensive for later on when it can get your big stuff out, right? Or it lets you rush up to the bigger stuff. So it lets you kind of control the pace of the game. This was a pretty good start, getting a Raging Worgen out in turn 1. I don't have the ability to actually damage it right now, unless I pull a Moonfire. As it turns out, he actually pulls a Flame Imp, which is exactly what he needed to do. Because I've had to burn 2 cards to get this out, and this dies next turn unless I can somehow kill this Flame Imp, which I absolutely cannot do. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So I'm thinking now we throw out the Wild Growth, which means that next turn we can get the charge out, and we just trade this out. This, not ideal, but hey, you know, it was the one card which could have done that, which is that 1-cost 3/2. So I'm going to throw this at him, not at the Flame Imp, which might be a mistake. He could Demon Fire on turn 2. But I'd rather do the damage with it instead of just... Because he's going to have to trade it regardless. And if he doesn't trade it, then I can actually kill it with my charge creature, so... Yeah. Again, it might be a mistake because he might be able to Demon Fire that Imp, but we'll see. He's coining, so he clearly isn't going to Demon Fire. Tauren Warrior. Okay. So now I assume he trades... Oh, he's not. Okay. Alright. Well, that's fine. It's fine for him anyway, because... Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, that was a really weird decision, because now I get 2 for the price of 1 with this. Because this kills this, doesn't die, enrages, and gets to kill that, or hits him. That's actually beautiful. He gave me exactly what I needed. Yes, yes. I don't even have to get rid of it. This is hilarious. All right. Charge. Swag. Look at that. He just gave me that on a silver platter. That was great. Cool. I'll take that. All right, fine. This has been the most efficient creature known to man. You can Shadow Bolt all you please. Use an entire turn to get rid of that. Oh, Nourish. Just look at that. Just look at it. I'm going to be up to a bazillion mana very, very quickly. Admittedly, I won't have the cards to support it. That's the annoying thing here. So I'm actually going to use it for card draw, because what's the use of 7 mana if I can't play anything? Exactly. The one advantage he has right now is card advantage, and we suddenly just got rid of that entirely. Cool. Great. I've got a Wrath next turn. I could actually play Ironbark Protector next turn. This is the pacing I was hoping for this deck, right? This is what I hoped, which is exactly why I'm going to lose. No, it's true, seriously. This is playing out far too well, which means that he's going to destroy me. Alright, so if he plays something really threatening, I do have Wrath as an option. Imp Master coming out. No, great card. Exceptional card. Absolutely love it. Gonna be a pain in my arse, no doubt. But we do have Ironbark Protector. And we can get it. And we probably should. Is there anything a Warlock can do to get rid of that? Yes, Corruption. I'm hoping he doesn't have it. It's just as simple as that. If he could... Oh, man, that would suck if he did. Wow. We are not going to make the mistake that the earlier guy didn't try to rush down. We're not going to do that. Get rid of that imp. He's going to corruption it, isn't he? Or silence it. I mean, silencing it is fine. Yeah, obviously getting rid of the taunt is a gigantic pain in the ass, but it's still an 8/8 and it's still going to hit you like a truck. Or that could happen. He was intimidated by my gigantic trunk of the wilds and so forth. 2-0, not bad. Let's keep going. To be fair, I'd be scared too. That's an 8/8. If you had no way of getting rid of it, it's going to murder you horribly for a while. But I don't know. I mean, even in those situations, you can still play, especially as a Warlock, you can still play because you've got that card draw mechanic in the form of life tap. You could, at any point, pull the thing which saves your ass. So, you know, play the next couple of turns out. Giving up on 18 health, nah. Okay. Shaman deck. All right. Let's see how this goes. Cool, an early wild growth, and a coin, and an innovate. So, we have options there. We'll probably coin for wild growth and save the innovate for later. I'm gonna just toss these for the time being. See what else we get. That was a mistake. Alright, we'll see what other card we get. Alright, so turn 2 wild growth is usually the best call. And it absolutely is the best call here because it will mean I can get Ascension Shield Master out really early. Which is kind of cool. Also means I could just, like, burn through to get an Ancient of War super quick as well, which can work. So, coin and wild growth. Great. So, that means that I have access to 4 mana on turn 2 with this Innovate, which would allow me to play the Ascension Shield Master. The alternative, of course, is that I sit and wait for the Ancient of War. But at that point, maybe he has some way to get rid of it, so... Yeah, I'm thinking the best option is just get that Shield Master out immediately, because it's going to be an amazing tank, and it's still going to do damage, and it's that 5 health amount so early on that's going to be a huge nightmare for people. Alright, Tazdingo is here, and his bag is full. Let's see if we can get the Shaman's hands full with this. So, he'll probably throw that Totem at it. He gets a Wrath of Air out of that as well. That could suck, like an early Wrath of Air into a Lightning Bolt, for instance, on that Shield Master. But if he had one, he would have used it by now, so... Okay, Youthful Brewmaster, the card which is of no use right now. Absolutely not. That's not what I want. So... What do we start doing with it? That's the question. Do we start dealing damage, or do we start getting rid of totems? That Wrath of Air, I don't like that. Shamans have really early game nasty stuff that they can throw out. Do I really want to watch 3? Yes, I just don't. I don't want it there. I don't want that thing there. I'm sorry, I'm paranoid of just lightning and death and, you know, a lightning and a shock would get rid of that Shield Master immediately. It would be horrible. And then what I do is I use this to kill his totem. So he's right back to square one with that. Cool. And I'll save the Brewmaster till later, because... Well, actually, I don't have a play for next turn. So I'm almost tempted to Youthful Brewmaster and then play that thing again. But that kind of invalidates my earlier Innovate Wild Growth play. And I'm just not okay with that on a philosophical level. So, no. We're not going to do that. So, board-wise, fine for me. Questing Adventurer. We need him dead immediately, of course. And the cool thing about that for him, that was a really awesome play for him. It's still going to die, don't get me wrong, but it means that I can't directly kill it with this guy. Yeah, so it's a cool play for him. I like it. He did well there. We're still going to kill him, of course. And here is how we are going to do it. This is where we use that Youthful Brewmaster, because I'm about to do a lot of damage to this guy. So, first thing he does, splat. Second thing we do, I'll take that hit. That's okay. It's no big deal. He needs to be gone immediately. As I've learned in previous encounters, you do not let that card live under any circumstances. Youthful Brewmaster brings that back to the hand. We then have 2 taunt creatures we can play next turn into the Ancient of War. And all of that health that I just spent, well, that's gone now. It is, of course, a creature that the Young Priestess can just trade for, which kind of sucks, but it is also a 2-cost, and it gets rid of the Youthful Priestess. One way or the other. So, yeah. Alternatively, if she hangs around... Oh, Knife Juggler. Alright. That's fine. He's not going to have 2 minions he can play to really trigger the knives to kill that anyway, so whatever. No big deal. You'll notice I'm keeping the Soul of the Forest back. That's because it's only really worthwhile if you've got a lot of stuff. Suddenly, things got uglier. The Flame Tongue Totem is out. I would not have done that. I really... Oh, damn. It hit the wrong one. So I was about to say, I wouldn't have done that because I can now kill the Flame Tongue Totem immediately with this creature instead of trading this out. But as it stands, I actually can't do that. So that's not great. What else have we got? Sunwalker, Sen'jin Shieldmaster. I'm thinking we play Shieldmaster again and we just kill this off. So this is probably the best bet. Okay, so this is what we do. We hit this. There we go. And we just get rid of this, so that gets rid of that extra damage potential, and we're kind of right back to where we were. I have a board advantage and a card advantage. He has a health advantage, because he did go for me earlier, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So, we have several powerful creatures available. We have this Taunt with the Divine Shield, which I love that card. Obviously, silences its enemy, but... I don't know, maybe he'd have burned... I think he'd have burnt a silence earlier on the Sen'jin Shieldmaster, maybe, but maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. Hard to say. He can now kill that, because he's got 2 knives which hit the same thing, which is very lucky of him. And then we have Sunwalker, Ancient of War. So he's trading that for that, which makes perfect sense. And then he's going right for me. Yeah, he's still trying to rush me down, so we might need more Taunt. We're going to need a lot more Taunt here. So which Taunt do we want to use, more to the point? Well... I would want to use the higher health taunt, because this taunt right here can be easily gotten rid of with a Searing Totem. I'd want to use the higher health taunt and save this until he's got something more dangerous on the field that I can use to eat with that Divine Shield. So we will play the Ancient of War, and we will play it with the 5 health and taunt. So that's going to be in the way for the time being. I think what needs to be got rid of is this Knife Juggler. One way or the other, the Youthful Brewmaster is just dead this turn, so... That Knife Juggler, I think, needs to go down. It's a higher priority target. The Direwolf Alpha's a pain in the ass, but the Knife Juggler has more damage output potential, and I hate it, and it needs to die. So, we're getting rid of that. Nightblade, I hate that card in the sense that I just don't think it's very good. It's not a very good battlecry, in my opinion. But hey, whatever. Alright, so he can start to beat up against this Ancient of War, and he'll lose all of his creatures doing it, so... I also have another taunt available. So he loses that. Is he going to throw away his Direwolf Alpha? No. Didn't think he would. Yeah, they're generally too valuable for that kind of thing, so... Thankfully, that Direwolf Alpha is guaranteed dead because we have a Stormwind Knight. But I would like to throw out this first. Okay. What options have we got? We do, of course, have that Savage Roar for the +2. So we could go for a rushdown play against him as well, but... You know, I'm getting low on health here, which is starting to get a little bit worrying, but we're not going to do that. I think we have other options right now. Play the Stormwind Knight. Maybe we play Claw. Might not be the worst idea ever. I really need rid of this. So that's the first thing that dies. This healing totem we're not concerned about because there's going to be nothing on the board for it to heal. So what we'll do is we will... What I tend to like to do with taunts is not to directly trade, it's to force them to trade with me. Yeah? Which makes sense, because they're going to have to run at this one way or the other, and he probably doesn't have charge and there's nothing else on the board. So I'm going to go for him with it. Now I have Claw as an option, but I'm not going to use it, because I can use this to kill the healing totem instead, which is a better play and doesn't burn my Claw. So there we go. Okay. Still losing on the health front, but things are getting a little bit closer. His Nightblade, if he wants to attack with it, is going to have to attack into that Ancient of War and will die unless he directly buffs it. Cult Master being played, so maybe he does want to do that. Probably does. He's playing another totem as well, which means he doesn't really have any options in his hand right now. Usually if you're seeing that go down, he doesn't have a play. And he decides not to charge at me. Cool, that gives me plenty of options now. I can keep going at him. He's trying to overwhelm my creature, but he still doesn't have the means to do it, because that's an awkward amount of health that's available right there. I can also use my Stormwind Knight to directly kill the Cult Master, which is actually, I'm not going to do that yet, because there was a good reason, wasn't there? I'm pretty sure there was a good reason. Yeah, because I could claw it to death instead. Do I want to claw it to death or trade the Stormwind Knight out for it? Difficult call. I was going to say play some creatures, but I don't actually have enough creatures. What I do have is this Soul of the Forest. Alright, okay. Here's how we do it. Here's how we do it. We Soul of the Forest. We also have that Savage Roar available. We just straight rush down at this? I think we do, you know. Because I think what we do is we Savage Roar for +2, which is what? 5, 4, 9, and 7. So, I mean, I can do 16 damage to him this turn, and he can't kill me. And I can use Claw just to kill that Cult Master. Alright, here we go, here we go, here we go. I didn't have to use Claw to kill that Cult Master, and just beat it up. Smack. Da-da, da-da, da-da. Cool. Alright. Yeah. I mean, he's down to 9 now. And he still has no way of getting through this Ancient of War. So, I think that was right. Even if it's not, and even if I lose this Ancient of War, I still have my Sunwalker. Alright, he is desperate now. He's playing that. He wants cards. Lightning Storm. Welcome to Death Rattle. Population me. 2 Death Rattles out. This still keeps this alive. He still has to trade this Nightblade out. This is where this is why it sucks that I didn't keep my Savage Roar till this turn, because that happened, and now I could just kill him. So he trades that for that. Okay. Now I've got 3 of these guys who are ready to rock and roll, and I have Claw, and I have a Knife Juggler. And I can use all of these things. Can I do the damage? 6, 9, yes I can. He's dead. Da-da-da, da-da-da. 1, 2, 3, and pop. GG! Well... I didn't think it was a good draft, but it's turning it way better than I anticipated. Even if I lose all 3, I'm still trading 50-50, which is not bad. Cool, that was a pretty good session with the Druid there, I feel. Some weird plays, some hilarious gimmicks, I gotta say. But it's a fun deck. I'll come back to it in the next session of Lord of the Arena. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.